My name is Pelita, and I'm originally from Minnesota, St. Paul to be exact. And so I left there when I was 18, lived in Arizona for 7 years, and then moved to Italy. So now I'm based in Tuscany, living in a small town called Pietrasanta. It's the first place that I feel like I felt I made sense. Whereas growing up in Minnesota, I mean, this outfit's a great example, right? Like in Minnesota, like it's not like you can't, but the way you're perceived is very different and it stands out, but in a way that is a bit more of a shock. Whereas in Italy, you stand out, but in a way that it feels like people appreciate whatever you're bringing out in your style. So, and that's just kind of tend to how I find fashion is more of like self-expression rather than like being part of the cool kids club. The way that I like to live my life just felt like it really vibed with this place in the sense of the way that it's a lot more relaxed. It's a lot more focused on sitting around the table and interacting, but not on a surface level. It's more about like really getting to the heart of the matter. And sometimes you might say the same story 3 times in the same conversation, but each time you tell it, it's like kind of getting another lens added to whatever that story means to you. And so it's getting the better quality of life. Like there's literally just more nutrients in the life that I live here when it comes to the interactions that I have with people, when it comes to the fashion that I'm pushed towards, because that very much so is a part of who I like to artistically express myself in, and even the activities that I am open to, because we do live at the base of the mountain. So if I'm feeling really shitty, I can walk I think 5 minutes before I'm at the base of a hike that goes through these backyards of olive orchards and people's chickens, and you say hello on your way up, and there's a specific part with a teeny tiny little brook and flowers everywhere. And don't get me wrong, the mountain's beautiful, but then you literally turn around in the same hike and you see this huge Gulf of Versilia with the ocean and the boats going by, and it really is so picturesque. And so I feel I'm in a city, but I'm so connected to nature. And people just in general are more in tune with the seasons, and when the season's over, it's gone. Like, let's move on. So when it comes to drinking culture, when you go out in America, you go out. We're going out tonight, shots for everybody. We're going to buy a table, bottle service, all of that. Because it's like this A to B. We need to be from where we are now to the coolest people at the club or whatever. And here it's like, let's go have like a glass of wine. We'll sit. You have literally that glass of wine. And then, you know what? Maybe let's go for a walk. Like, it just seems more fluid and more balanced, right? It's not this like super high highs and then very low lows, which at least for me, for my mental health, my mental stability is I am naturally a dramatic person, if you couldn't tell. And so I need that balance. I need more of that balance in my life. And here, I feel so much healthier. I feel like, yes, obviously the food is healthier that you get at the grocery store, just because as a whole, the country values good red tomatoes, good fresh onions. And so I get to benefit off of that, but just seeing these much more mild interactions, right? You don't have to be my best friend, because I'm going to show you with how much time I spend with you and just sitting with you. So. And dogs are everywhere here.
Yes, I've seen this dog before already.
Yeah, I was talking about him this morning. I love this dog. So this guy is a chef at the restaurant down the street, and then his girlfriend is a waitress on the other side of town, which is literally 2 streets over. And I see them every morning. We have like a little dog community. So before, I was living in Italy by myself, and it's not really normal Italy. It's this teeny tiny town, which this historic center, including the surrounding area, which is like maybe a mile, 7,000 people. That's it. and most of them are over the age of 50. So when it comes in terms of people who are under the age of 35, it's a bit harder to find. But what I can say is that even though it was really difficult to find a community, it was really difficult to be accepted by a community because they've all known each other. They've been knowing each other for 30 years. So when someone new comes around, like, how do you know they're going to be worth your quality time, right? Because the time you have is a little bit more valuable. So it takes a long time. It might just start as like a few months. You just see each other. And then after a few months, you might like give the nice little polite nod. And after a few months of that, you might say ciao, which means hello and goodbye. And then one day it might be perfect of, oh, what are you reading today? Because you're always reading books. What are you reading today? Get into a conversation and you might not even ask that person's name for the first couple of times. But then he's like, you know what is your name? And you kind of know that every time you see that person in town, you have like more of a foundation of a friendship. And so it's just so much easier, you know, like I can see you, I can say hi, I can see you, I can have a whole conversation, but there's no obligation. At least that's how I feel. So the interactions tend to be a bit more organic, and because it takes so much time to build that foundation, I was really isolated, right? I don't look Italian, you know, and so everyone's like watching me, but their faces are, you know, it's impossible. It's easy to know one new person. It's really difficult to get to know 100 other people. And so now that I've been here and I do have my foundation, how could I leave? Like, these aren't just friends, these are family. And then so when on top of the dog situation, it's great because my dog is adorable. And so I think I was telling you this the other night of like, it's great. Like, I don't have to be perceived if I don't want to be. Because everyone can kind of just focus on her and watch her cute little antics and chase the pigeons at the bar. And it takes maybe a couple times. You know, everyone likes their dogs to sniff and get to meet each other. And then they become friends. And so the owners, a lot of the times I don't know the owners' names. But I know, oh, there's Duncan. Hi, Duncan. You know? So, yeah, so we have shared dog moms and dog dad community and stuff like that. So there's one park, so I mean you get to know everyone pretty quickly. So for me to feel like I was accepted into this community beyond just the hey, hello, how are yous, is when someone invites you to dinner to their house, because we don't have big houses here. Your house is it's much more sacred, it's much more familial. So when someone invites you to their house to eat, it's like super special. Okay, I learned this, right? So what do? I invite people over to my house for dinner. Because I'm like, I'm not going to invite myself. So I'll invite people to my house. And I think that's the easiest, fastest way that I became super close with people in town. Over food, over good wine, music, you know? So, and everyone kind of knows the food in Italy is good, but it really is not just good. It's good because it's a part of the culture. And I could talk about the food forever and the types of dishes that are made, and each city has different dishes. And because really Italy as itself, as a concept, is super young. Italy was created in like 1881. That's Italia. But before that, it was 5 different kingdoms, all kind of living in the same area. So even what you think of as an Italian, since you're living in America, is actually what we would consider like a Southern Italian. Right? And the concept of Italy is actually, just to go on another tangent, partially I say all this because it makes sense for the greater culture of why people are so closed off. Because we're in Pietrasanta now, but even 200, 300 years ago, we're warring with the city, right, let's say 5 miles away, to the point where they actually speak, even to this day, a different way, so different to how we speak in this town. It's hard to understand them. Italians have to really, really focus to understand the people in the town next over. because so many people were kind of like, no, 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 this is our space. We need to keep our space protected away from those people. And so food changes so much because people didn't travel between towns. There's a fantastic video about, if I could find the name of it, it's like Bambini Sposati, and it's about this phenomenon in the South where all these kids were getting married at 13, 14, 15 years old. And part of the documentary talks about in these kids like, oh, what's the furthest you've gone? Half of them said they've never left. And when they've never left their town, they've never left like a 2-mile radius. And then the ones that have gone, they're like, I traveled 20 kilometers away, which is about 14 miles. So, yeah, these traditions are well ingrained. And that's why I think Italy is so beautiful. People love it because you feel like you go back in time because they're so much more resistant to change. So even the way that they treat me, it's a lot more like wary. It's because the protectivism is a little bit more ingrained in just how they live their lives. And it's a good thing. Of course, it's also a bad thing. When we were just talking about it this morning, we have these things called Chinese shops. And it's someone who's from China who comes and sells a bunch of products made in China. And they were so vehemently opposed to this store because that takes away business from the guy that sells paper, the guy that sells kitchen appliances. Because in Italy, a department store, all those departments are still separated. There's one store. And to bring it into one, you're taking business away from a lot of people. Now they've warmed up to it. But at the beginning, it was like a whole thing. And so going on another tangent, it's like very often I think people experience racism in Italy. And I genuinely think Italians are the most racist, but they're really racist against everybody, right? So they'll look at you almost the same as if you come from Senegal, as if you come from England. They're kind of like, these people are not from our country. They don't have our same values. On the other flip side of that, they're just the same as with Italians coming from other parts of Italy. So being here in central Tuscany, and you're like, they're from Milan, you know? So that's how deep all this protectionism is in this culture. I would say the Italian way is like excessively moderate. Like, when you go to dinner, you eat all these things. You have so many plates, right? But it's like the portions are smaller. And so it's like, yes, you're eating a 4-course meal, but you're not overindulging in the way that we would in America. Like a good meal in America is you're so full that you can't move. Whereas a good meal in Italy is something small that takes part of nature and like whatever is in season. And you feel like full but not too full. Same thing with drinking, right? The drink might be a little bit heavier, but you have just the one when it comes to an Aperol Spritz. The fashion, for example, it's like really like an unload in fashion, but don't have so many clothes, right? So maybe I guess it's kind of leaning towards quality over quantity. My experience here. The best thing that I could say that of why I live in Pietrasanta is I feel cuddled, right? I feel taken care of. Recently, I had the experience of doing like the most Italian thing, which is I got baptized in the Catholic Church.
It's right there, right?
It's right there. It's right behind us. And the way that, for me, it felt very like, oh, I'm not going to tell anyone. Like, everyone's going to think I'm weird. You know, I just want to kind of keep it to myself. And I slowly was like, hey, by the way, I'm getting baptized. Like, do you want to come? I might have a little party after. And people were like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I can't believe you're getting baptized. And these are people who are not even religious, right? But again, it's about these kind of like long-standing traditions. And it really is a big signifier of stepping into a new life. And so for me, inviting someone to that was like getting to honor them in this new chapter of my life, right? And so being in this city, I feel so watched and so taken care of in that I might be walking down the street someone hears my voice and they'll pop out of the window, oh, Pelita, come stai? Tutto a posto? You know, Pelita, how are you? Everything's all good. Yeah, I'm good. Taking my dog for a walk. Oh, she's so cute. How's her leg doing? Oh, she's getting better. She's getting better. Okay, that's great. See you later. You know, just these cute little, like, you feel like you're in a movie, you know? And that was kind of always, at least personally, one of the goals of my life is to feel like my life, everything inside of it is beautiful and it feels like a movie. So,
Because why not, right?
why not? It is some part of myself, I should say, is something that doesn't naturally come to me since I am still Minnesotan. But I'm getting there, and like I said, I have a really great group of people around me who tell me that. And they tell me that in a way that I trust what they tell me. They're not just saying this to say this, right? It's we've laid that foundation of like, can I be honest with you? You really upset me when you did X, Y, and Z. It's not going to be this holding in and kind of creating a weird dynamic until, well, everyone explodes like they do. Maybe that's just reality TV, but I'm like so not about that life. You know, and so to be able to create, I guess, be an active part in my life is great because I, you know, having your own agency allows you to help yourself. And I think, not without being too cheesy, it's like the best thing you can do for the world around you is help yourself. You know, how many opportunities have you seen around you that, oh, that person missed this opportunity? But how many opportunities did you miss by not investing in yourself, in a dream that you had, in an idea that you had? And especially, like, what's kind of cool, I think, about this new world that we're seeing after the pandemic is people are like, you know what? Everything could go to shit at any moment. And I wanted to play piano since I was 4 years old. I'm 50. I always thought it was too late, but why not?
Yeah.
So it's enjoying more of this journey, of enjoying more of these little snippets of la dolce vita. Right?
Yeah, of course.
Life is good to us, but only as good as we treat it. So yeah, I'm very happy to. Oh, and that's the other thing. The more delusional I get, the bigger the dreams get, and the more that I'm receiving, right? I was like, you know what? Everyone's told me I'm not responsible to have a dog. I know I am. So you know what I did? I got a dog. And you know what came right after? A boyfriend. Who's the best? Ciao. Come va? Stiamo facendo, sì, un interview. Devi dire qualcosa.
Cosa devo dire?
Un po' delle parole di ispirazione.
Cosa devo dire?
Le parole di ispirazione.
Non ho capito nulla.
Un frase bello?
Sì, ci sei bravissimo.
Oh, grazie. Okay. So this is a perfect example.
La mia amica è bravissima. It's good to person.
So we just started seeing each other on the street, and I said, "Come on, give us some like inspirational words." And he's like, "Oh, you're a very nice friend."
She's good person. A nice girl. Okay.
This is how you get taken care of in your community, right?
Okay. Thank you.
Ci vediamo.
Ciao.
So, if you've ever seen the opening of Beauty and the Beast, bonjour, bonjour,
Ah.
bonjour. That's the life that is kind of happening here. Oh, cosa fai qua?
So you feel seen, you feel accepted and appreciated in this community?
I feel I feel like I'm actually able to see myself even more. You know, I'm finding myself with the people who are around me that show me that they love me. You know, they might say something, oh, but you're so good at this, and I'm like, oh my god, wait, I'm really good at that. I didn't think of that. So my name is Pelita Rosa, and I would love to be remembered for the amount of smiles I've distributed around the world. That's what I want to be remembered for.
Perfect. Ciao Matti. No, grazie mille.
Grazie mille a te e buona giornata.
I love you.
That's Zach. He's the best.
He is the best.